The Bellini study is a study where patients with relapsed refractory multiple myeloma were randomized to bortezomib and dexamethasone versus bortezomib and dexamethasone with venetoclax. And in this group of patients, they also had a subgroup that had 1114 translocations who were followed extremely closely. Importantly, the study did show that patients had a deeper remission and an extended progression-free survival if they were on the venetoclax arm, and this was quite optimistic. Unfortunately, what it seems is that there are more people who are dying on the venetoclax arm, and therefore the overall survival is not present at this time, and in fact seems to be somewhat inferior, so this has been somewhat disappointing. On the other hand, when they did look at patients who had the 1114 translocations, these patients benefited tremendously with deeper remissions, longer progression-free survival, and at this time their overall survival does not seem to be affected by the addition of venetoclax and possibly improved. So this study is very interesting because in spite of the fact that in general patients have a deeper remission and longer progression-free survival, their overall survival benefit seems to be at this point inferior, and I think it's important to find out why that is happening. On the other hand, for the subgroup who have 1114 translocations, those patients are doing definitely better. And so with longer follow-up, my hope is that they will continue to show overall survival benefit, and therefore 1114 translocated myeloma patients can have venetoclax as a standard treatment. And in fact, this may be the only truly defined population that could benefit from this drug. And this we'll have to find out over time. Patients with high-risk cytogenetics seem to do worse compared to the typical patients who were, or the standard patients who are enrolled on the study. So they did not benefit as much in terms of progression-free survival or depth of remission. So certainly those with higher risk myeloma tend to have inferior levels of benefit. Obviously, the overall survival is not easy to see in this population because the numbers begin to get quite small at this point, but certainly in terms of the endpoints of depth of remission and progression-free survival, it is not as good as for those who have standard risk myeloma. Currently, this trial is continuing to follow particularly those patients who have 1114 translocations extremely closely. So my hope is that over time it will demonstrate benefit in these patients. And in doing so, I would expect that there will be an indication to use venetoclax in patients who have translocation 1114 or who express BCL2 at a higher level. So that is my hope in the near future.